Here's what I find incredibly interesting about this. Now, I hope it happens. And I've been saying now for a couple days, figure it out. It's almost February. You know, the Mets had a massive splash with Juan Soto. They retained Minaya. You have all this energy from last season. You know, you spruce up the bullpen a little bit here. Come on. Like, it just wouldn't fit. And even you know where I stand on Pete as an imperfect player. But sometimes imperfect players are still perfect for certain situations, and it applies here. He's not getting 5 or 6 years. He's never getting that. It's going to be a short deal, all right? There's going to be some ego swallowed, and there's going to probably be some concessions from the Mets a little bit, and a little bit from Boris and Pete as well. But the thing that I find most interesting about this, it is one of the most fascinating looks at the psychology of sports fans. I have watched. And I'm not saying I've never done this either. I'm not calling you out. But, boy, it's been a long, lengthy experiment. I have seen Met fans jump through hoops and twist themselves up in knots. Oh, we need Pete. Pete can't play. Oh, he does hit home runs. Oh, Pete's our version of Aaron Judge. First base, it's a different market these days. He's 30 years old. He's a righty. We can't bring him back. Oh, my God. He's going to be the Mets' all-time home run hitter. How do we let him go? Like, it's been, you guys are you baseball fans or are you gymnasts? I'm not really sure. Because the fluctuations in your positions on Pete have been amazing. And you go back, I'd say, right around on this show, most specifically, when a lot of the Alonso conversation started, there was still some crumbs, some early remnants of he's our Aaron Judge, as I said before, which by the way, I didn't kick back too hard on, obviously delineating between the two athletes and their skill sets, but I understood loosely translated what you guys meant by that. Drafted by the Mets, prodigious power, he's going to obliterate the record book, and you want to keep him. Understood. And then, he had a down season with the batting average a couple of years ago. And then he followed it up last year with a very perplexing season. Home runs were down. Ribbies were down. Drops a pop-up in the postseason. And then he mashes a home run that nobody, even if you're not a Mets fan, is going to forget off now the Yankees closer, one of the best closers in baseball in a while, in Devin Williams, which now pumps life back into Pete Alonso's got to remain with the Mets. All right. So I get it. You vacillated a little bit here. I would almost, I can't prove, it's more of a social experiment. I can't prove this. I truly can't. But let's just say the opposite occurred. Let's say that Boomer tweeted last night, and I've got some ominous news here, Mets fans, I'm hearing or I'm feeling that Pete Alonso, today is the day that Pete Alonso signs with Toronto. All right? And we'd get to that. We'd probably still lead with it, right? And I bet you 90% of the calls that we took would be about what he can't do well and why it's the right move and why the Met fans scorned would kind of gravitate to the deficiencies that Pete has as a baseball player. And we all know what they are. We don't need to just always run through them. We know what they are, right? And, you would pick at the scab of Pete Alonso. And I don't know if you really, truly believe that. I think from a baseball perspective, I think your baseball sensibilities tell you, and you know this because you're great, smart baseball fans, you've always known what I've always said about Pete. You resisted it. I don't know, maybe because I grew up a Yankee fan. I don't know. Maybe because he's your guy, which I get and which I respect. But that would be the alternate universe to what Boomer presented this morning. I promise you that 70, 80, 85, 90% of you that have kind of convinced yourself and have projected almost this anti-Pete sentiment the last couple of weeks because you think that he's gone. Not that you necessarily want him gone, but because you have been conditioned to think that the Mets have moved on from Pete. I promise you, when that John Heyman, Buster Olney, whoever fires up that tweet, Pete Alonso, 3 years, 2 years, opt out, whatever, back in Queens, I bet it's back to 85, 90%. You wanted Pete to stay. You needed Pete to stay. You have tried. And This is the interesting thing about being a fan. And I truly, even though I've been in this business for a long time, I have never lost this aspect. And if I do, by the way, I won't. But when I do, then I will retire. Because then what fueled me to get here and what I take most pride in and what I love most about sports, if that erodes, I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste your time. I understand the sentiment. I understand the hurt. I understand the back and forth. I do, because he is a complex player at a complex point in his career. But let's be honest. Strip away the copium. Strip away the other stuff that you put up. You all want Pete back with the Mets. 888-808-1019. BT and Sal here on The Fan. Sal is in the last stages of healing up. I know he's listening, so he's doing better. And we're going to have Sal back on Monday, which is great. All right, let's get to you guys here. Again, I don't want to take it as gospel because Boomer, like all of us, has gotten things wrong before. The almighty Boomer. He's not perfect. Close to it. You know I love me some Boomer. But man, oh man, this is shaping up to be quite the interesting day in Mets land. And I'm driving in, I'm listening, and those two guys going off the rails. You know, Boomer's presenting this, and Gio's like, yeah, it's a news dump day. And Boomer's like, what the hell does it matter? Why are you always going to the negative here? I was actually laughing with those guys this morning. But at the end of the day, man, I think you put up these walls. We all do it with certain things, these protective measures, these boundaries to get a little distance from what we don't want to have happen. Just imagine being in Queens with Juan Soto and Pete Alonso at the home opener wearing a Blue Jays jersey. It doesn't have to come to that. It never did. And apparently, it's not. All right, let's get to the phones. What do you guys think? BT and Sal, 888-808-1019. Zach is in Massapequa. Well, what's going on, Big Zach? How are you? Let's get us going. First up.
Thank you for the call. I'm glad to be the first. I would love to just tell you now, I absolutely love the show. I think you're unbelievable. I really do. The type of host you are, I mean, it's unbelievable. And I truly hope, you keep going and do everything you do. I just hope nothing but success for you.
That's really nice, man. Thank you very much, Zach. I appreciate that, buddy.
Absolutely. So let me get to my Mets point.
Yeah.
So I'll be an honest Mets fan here. I would be absolutely devastated if Pete Alonso is not a Met. I completely understand that, he's got deficiencies. He can't run. He's an average fielder. He's only, getting worse with time because of age, his body type. I get it. But as a pure emotional standpoint, the Mets aren't the Mets to me without Pete Alonso on, our opening day roster.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of things that he does for this team positively, to me, completely outweighs all of the negative. Not to mention, everyone likes to make fun of this part. He's a homegrown guy. The Mets don't have many of them that stick around, do end up doing great things. This guy could end up being one of, if not the best power hitter the Mets has ever had. One of them, maybe he makes the Hall of Fame. There's really no telling with the trajectory that his career could go. Obviously, a lot of people are saying it might, get worse or whatnot. But at the end of the day, we don't know that. You don't know that. I don't know that. So why not take a chance on, not even a chance. This guy's proven that he's deserves the money. Mets fans need to stop with this copium, like you were saying, highlighting all of the negatives and just accept the fact that, deep down, we do truly want him.
Yeah. Listen, that's a great call, Zach, and thanks for the kind words. I appreciate you getting us going here. Listen, I'm not saying that Pete's going to be a career Met. I don't think he will be. This is not going to suddenly be a change of heart where, wow, Alonso just signed an 8-year deal. No. And if this happens and when this happens, I do believe it will. And by the way, even before Boomer's tweet, last couple of days on the air, I've been saying, I don't rule it out, because of what Steve Cohen said. Matter of fact, I was imploring Pete to do, I just said this yesterday. I saw the video of, what was I forget the name of the podcast, whatever it was with Eric Hosmer. And they were telling the story. Bernie was on with them, Bernie Williams. And back in 98, when Bernie Williams almost left the Yankees, he picked up the phone and he called George Steinbrenner. And I was just saying this yesterday, just like when Hal picked up the phone and called Aaron Judge from Italy. Hey, there's certain things you just got to get done. And whether it's Pete kind of reestablishing maybe some more realistic parameters, Maybe it's Boris, or maybe it's Pete telling Boris, hey, cut the nonsense, dude. I mean, I understand you had a mission here. That mission's failing. Stop digging in so deep on the opt-outs, and if I opt out, they pay me. Just get me something, save some face, and keep it going here. I want to be a Met. Now, I'll tell you, the only thing, it's very different, but I wanted to give you as a point of reference. The only thing that I can really myself even remotely, it's not even really the same ballpark because he retired, but that's Mattingly. And for me, which was Mattingly, and many of you, that's Pete. Pete's your guy, depending upon your age, like Mattingly was my guy, all right? And after the 95 season, when they lost to Seattle, 5 games at the Kingdom, that's when Griffey scored from first on the double by Martinez, the play at the plate, I knew that was the end. Now, I knew it. I was in college. I actually had tears in my eyes because I knew he was going to retire. Like, it crushed me. The difference, though, is that Donnie retired. So it's not like I resented Tino or didn't enjoy the 96 championship. I don't know, how would I have felt if Mattingly went to the Cardinals or Mattingly was a free agent and the Yankees just, whether it's $5, $10, $12 million an opt-out, not that they really did that back then, but you know what I mean, some little contractual trigger kept my guy from staying. Like, we're not talking about half a decade of a gap between what the Mets are willing to offer and Toronto. I mean, if that's the case, pragmatically, every Met fan could say, all right, he's not worth that. And he's not. But for a couple of bucks, you always had to find a way to get this done. And the incomplete nature of the Mets lineup on opening day without Pete and no other moves this offseason, because I don't think you're getting Vlad before the season. I don't. Maybe you get him in free agency, but Santander, gone. All the other first basemen, gone. All 5 of them, gone. So you telling me that even though you kind of said this to protect yourself, which I get, do you really mean what you said? You didn't. And you don't. You need him. And he needs you. All right, Bobby in Lindenhurst. What's going on, Bob? How are you today?
LBT, love you, man. Listen, you got to stop talking for Met fans. You did the same exact thing with Soto, man. You guys thought he was a baseball god, and then when he left, he's not a great right fielder. He can't throw. He can't run. I mean, stop. Come on, you can't do that to us, man. We all want Pete back. But obviously we're going to be pissed and we're going to say stuff when he leaves. If he leaves, we're going to be upset. But we all want him on the team.
But Bobby, hold on. Forget about Soto. Soto's yours. And by the way, and it's fine. It's not a big deal. But I did talk about his defensive deficiencies when the Yankees got him for the Padres. But that's not the point.
Not really.
No, you haven't. But you haven't heard every show, Bob. So it's all good. Soto's yours, and he's going to be a beast. He's amazing. With Pete, right? You're misrepresenting what Met fans have been saying the last month, because the majority of Met fans have been voicing that they are okay. Well, I'm done with Pete. Pete wasn't that good anyway. And I think it's a coping mechanism, which I understand. But I
think people were more upset with the length of how long this was taking, and they were trying to convince themselves, all right, we're good. He's not coming back. We got to go move on. They weren't we want him. Believe me.
Well,
we want
you want him, Bobby. Bobby, I know that you want him, but I think that all Met fans do. I'm not going to fight you on something we agree, or most Met fans. I don't want to fight you on something that I actually agree with you on. What I'm saying is, it's not even a big deal at this point, dude. I'm just saying I think that the what was projected by Met fans is going to be different than what's projected when we find out that it's a done deal, if it's a done deal. I'm telling you.
Maybe. I don't know.
That's all, man.
I would say the majority wants Pete back, and we'll be happy. We'll be pissed if he goes. That's it. Bottom line.
I got you. All right, man. So you think it's done today? Do you agree? Do you believe the almighty Boomer?
I do. And I already said, I texted my son. I said, listen, I think we're going to get him today. We're signing him today. I didn't tell him it was Boomer. I didn't tell him it was Boomer. I said it was me.
Well, but Bobby, that's that. How about a little credit here, dude? Come on. Would you cheat? Come on. Would you plagiarize in college? At least give your son the ethics. Tell him Boomer got it. I mean, where's the moral compass, dude? I know we all want to look like heroes to our children, but this is Boomer's story, not Bobby in Lindenhurst. Bobby in Lindenhurst didn't do anything yet. All right, let me get Freddie and Whitestone. Fred, what's happening? BT and Sal, how are you?
BT, what's happening, buddy?
Hello, Frederick.
I tell you. You know what? How about who is our first baseman if Pete doesn't sign?
Vientos.
I don't want to hear this Mark Vientos being moved to first. No one ever brings that point up. How about we leave the kid at third base? That kid looks like he's going to be a stud for many years.
Well,
I don't want this from the first. Have Beatty play first.
yeah.
Pete needs to sign because we don't have the first base.
Fred, you got to understand, though, Fred, you got to understand, and I think that you do, although it seems like you took the bait a little bit. The Mets played this perfectly. They couldn't play it better. Nobody was knocking down Pete's door. You know, hey, you float a few things. All right, we told Vientos, get that first baseman, Smith, start taking ground balls. He's going to be playing first. You talk up Beatty again a little bit. And what happens? Pete gets a little antsy. Pete gets a little restless. Boris has to react to Pete's antsiness. And guess what? As we get closer to February, which we are, and there's no more offers for Pete from other teams, well, now Pete's going to adjust what he's willing to do for the Mets. That's what's happening.
Me, BT, I hope to God you're right. I hope Boom is right. Is he the greatest first baseman ever? No, obviously, baseball. But I want Pete. I think the lineup looks a lot sweeter with him in that lineup. And I know he's no all-star first baseman. I'm not saying that.
Uh-huh.
I never say that, but I want him back. I definitely want him back.
I get it. I listen, I understand there, Freddie. I appreciate that. 888-808-1019, BT and Sal here on the Fan Branded Tierney Sal Licata Show inside of our Town Fair Tire Studio. Interesting day. Friends at Town Fair remind you that you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. So if this goes down, this would be very interesting. I remember years ago when me and Teak were down the hall doing the national show, bored out of our minds. I'm just kidding. And Tiki broke the story, beat everybody to it, that Cohen was going to buy the Mets. Be funny if Boomer nails the story about Pete Alonso re-upping with the Mets, which has been, outside of the Soto pursuit and the actual purchase of the Mets from Cohen, it's been one of the three biggest stories with the Mets in the last 5 years. And it seems like none of the baseball guys are the ones breaking this. It's the ex-football players. That's right. We got everybody here at the Fan. We don't need those guys. Yeah. This just, it's just a very weird time in baseball. And for the Mets, listen, if he's 35 and if he's on his last legs, Pete, it's a lot more justifiable. He's a very imperfect player, as I've chronicled many times. But you don't think he's going to get a ton of fastballs with Juan Soto on base 43% of the time? And if Lindor in the second half, and I don't know if he's going to do that, but if he does, and Vientos for a full year, see, I mean, we could do this later, but I would go Lindor 1. I would go Lindor 1. I would go Vientos 2. I would go Soto 3, and then I would go Pete 4. But, but if you do that, think about what Pete could actually put up there. So it just seems like it's going to be a very, very good day, a rewarding day, and a fun day. All right, we'll get back to these calls. BT and Sal here on the Fan, 888-808-1019.